Cool. So I guess we'll go ahead and start then. For today, I'd like all of you to make sure you've got 2 blocks and a blanket. And then we're going to start on our bellies. So we're going to start in nakrasana. And so once you're on your abdomen, you can go ahead and cross your forearms if you'd like. You might just put your forehead on the backs of your hands. And then either have your big toes touching and your heels splayed wide apart, or you might have your feet as wide as your mat and let the toes fall in the heel, or rather heels fall in, toes fall out. And then you'll just take a moment to just let yourself settle. And so the first thing that you might notice is you might need to wiggle either the feet or the pelvis a little bit, just so it feels like you've got an even contact with the floor. And then you might notice that you want to wiggle the elbows a little bit so it feels like you can actually rest any of the weight of the chest. And we're going to start by just seeing if we can find our breath. So with our arms stacked like this, it elevates the chest just a little bit. It fixes where the breath can go. And so I want you to see if you can really just allow the body to become a little bit softer. And then start to bring your awareness into the belly. And so this morning, I've been finding myself really thinking about the parts of ourselves that we sort of disconnect from, the parts of ourselves that we cut off, and how we can allow ourselves to reconnect with them so that we have a better idea of our own strengths, our own gifts, our own attributes that really are quite helpful for us. And our breath is, ironically enough, one of those things that we don't always attune to. So as you continue to breathe here, I'd like you to see if you can start to focus on really breathing into the ribs at the lowest part of the rib cage. And you'll notice that that might deepen the breath, where then the breath starts to expand into the low back. And you might find that as you start to really focus on the front ribs, at the lowest part of the ribs, then you can feel the diaphragm start to distend. So it'll drop down towards the pelvis. Maybe the belly will drop to the floor, the low back will float up, and the pelvic floor might widen. And so as you're here, the focus that we're going to focus on our breath for today is I want you to first make your breath as seamless as possible. So your inhale is smooth the whole way, and your exhale is smooth the whole way. And once you feel like that quality of breath is established, I want you to make your inhale and your exhale as long as each other. So the in-breath and the out-breath. We're going to work on these 5 qualities of breath that Sherry Friedrichsen talks about. So that's 2, making the breath continuous, making the breath sort of equal and deep. The next thing I want you to notice on is, can you find the pauses between your in-breath and out-breath and see if that can just meld. So the in-breath naturally becomes the out-breath naturally becomes the in-breath. And if you found those 3 qualities, you might find that the breath now takes on its next quality of becoming a little bit deeper. And then finally, the 5th quality of effortless. So as we move through all of our poses today, I want you to see if you can keep these 5 qualities of the breath. The inhale is seamless from beginning to end. The exhale is seamless from beginning to end. You find that the inhale and the exhale are the same length. You find that there's a continuation through the breath, even through the momentary pauses where the transition between an in-breath and an out-breath occurs. You find that the breath stays deep, and you find that the breath stays easy. Everything else is secondary to these qualities of your breath. On your next exhalation, you'll go ahead and lift your head. Plant your hands underneath your shoulders and press yourself to hands and knees. Now, once you find yourself in hands and knees, really make sure the knees are underneath the hips, the shoulders are directly over the wrists, and you'll just take a few cats and cows. And all you're doing here is just flexing and contracting the spine. And we just spend all that time focusing on your breath. So as you're moving the spine, can the breath still be moving first and foremost in your awareness? So that you can hear the breath maybe starting to take on a little bit more intentionality here. Awesome. You can stay with this, or the next time you contract the spine, really engage the belly, pulling it in and up. And the next time you inhale the spine, really squeeze all the muscles on the back body. And you'll just take 4 more of those, engaging the abdomen on the exhale, and then engaging the back body on the inhale. And again, still just listening to the breath, feeling and sensing into the breath. Awesome. At the end of your next exhalation, you'll inhale and come to a neutral spine. From here, draw your big toes to touch, your knees as wide as your hips, and then press your pelvis back towards a child's pose. Walk your arms forward. Keep the hands pressing down, keep the arms active, and just take 3 breath cycles here. And again, can you now start to invite in that Ujjayi pranayama if you haven't already? So now there's a slight constriction at the back of the throat. Awesome sauce. Next in breath, let's come forward, hands and knees. As you exhale, lower your forearms to the mat. Pause here, walk your knees towards one another. Make sure your shins are parallel. Flex through your right foot. Inhale, start to kick your right foot up towards the sky, keeping the knee bent. And then exhale, draw the right knee towards your face. And you've got about 10 of these. Inhale, you send the foot up, keeping the knee bent. Exhaling, rounding that knee in. And so we're targeting our glutes now as you're still breathing. And that right foot stays super active as you kick it up. And you're just, here's our sneaky core work and sneaky glute work, which honestly you won't feel until we get to number 10. So you just keep breathing. And you want to see if when you really lift that right leg up and back, you squeeze your bum just a bit. Yep. And since I wasn't counting, I'm sorry, you're on the honor system. Once you get to 10, you'll go ahead and lower the right knee down. You'll curl both sets of toes under. You'll push yourself back to a very mini toe squat. And you'll just pause there. So I wasn't counting. I'm leaving you on the honor system. So toes are curled under, arms are walking forward. You're still in a little child's pose, but now we're starting to stretch the backs of your feet. On your next in breath, let's go ahead and come forward, hands and knees again. As you exhale, lower the forearms down to the mat. Walk your knees together. Flex through that left foot. And then inhale, start to kick your left foot up and back. And again, you've got 10 on this side, exhaling, rounding in. And your task is to try to see if you can keep your hips as square as possible. So the tendency is to favor that right knee. Yep. And then as you kick your left foot up, press through the left big toe more than the pinky toe so that you keep the legs parallel. Yeah. And are you breathing? Good modification, Julie. And again, you're just paying attention to your counting because I really wasn't. And once you got to 10, you'll go back to that modified child's pose again. But this time you might want to keep just your knees over your hips, or sorry, underneath your hips, and take Anahatasana instead. So you choose. You can take child's pose or you can take more of that heart bench. It's up to you. Great. Next in breath, let's go ahead and come forward back to hands and knees. We're slowly building ourselves up. As you exhale, round through your spine. So actual hands and knees. There we go. As you exhale, go ahead and round through your spine. And then as you inhale, come forward into your cow shape. And these are just your little palate cleansers before I add one more thing for your glutes. So you'll do 3 cats and cows. Just feeling how this feels, staying connected with your breath. Awesome. After your next exhalation, you'll inhale and come to a neutral spine. Okay, listen very closely. Inhale here. As you exhale, draw your right knee to your left inner elbow. Right knee to your left inner elbow. Great. Inhale, send your right leg back on a diagonal. So straight back on that diagonal. Externally rotate your legs, flex your toes. Great, that's the movement. Exhale, right knee to your left elbow. Inhale, send it back, externally rotate the leg. Yep, and you got about 10 of these. And you wanna make sure you externally rotate that right leg when it goes back, so it feels like your pinky toe is spinning up to the sky even more. Yep, there you go. So we can get the outer glute muscles. Oh my God, Steve's puppy's loving this. His dog is trying to do this with him. It's really funny. And then you want to see if you can keep that right leg parallel to the floor or higher. So we're really trying to get your outer hip muscles to engage. So it feels kind of odd. You're not exactly going to the side. And after you've done 10, you're going to keep the right leg out there and back. Some of you will stay here in stillness. Some of you might choose to externally rotate that ankle. So taking some ankle circles, it's a fun little brain twister as you're still externally rotating the leg. And then if you've taken circles one way, you'll take circles the other. Awesome sauce. Next exhale, go ahead and lower that right knee down. This time, keep your knees directly underneath your hips. Walk your hands forward about 6 inches. Look forward at your hands. Push your pelvis back. Allow your ears to fall in line with your arms. And again, 4 breath cycles here. And so you're just paying attention, arms straight, front ribs in and back. Yep, and pelvis back. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. And after you've taken 4 breath cycles here, you'll inhale and come back to hands and knees. And we're just focusing on the breath. So all of this is to try to awaken our Shakti. I took this class this week with Sherry Friedrichsen. I thought it was fantastic, and that's all we did. So we'll come forward, hands and knees. Again, you'll exhale. You'll draw your left knee towards your right elbow. Left knee towards right elbow. Yep. And then inhale, send it back on that diagonal. Externally rotate the leg. And you've got about 10 of those. And you're just paying attention to what it feels like. Are you favoring the right hand, or can you keep an equal amount of weight in that left hand? Yeah, you guys are doing great. And we're trying to keep the breath slow and steady. Oh, good. So Roberta's counting. We're at number 7. This would be 8. Awesome. And then the next time that leg is out, this should be 10. You're going to hold it there. Keep lifting the leg as high as you can. And maybe you stay in stillness. Maybe you take some ankle circles one way and then ankle circles the other. But you're just paying attention to how crazy that is to try to circle your ankle while still externally rotating the thigh. And then after your next exhale, you'll come back to hands and knees, and you'll rest back in Anahatasana. Rest, that's hilarious. But your knees underneath your hips, walk your hands forward, 1 hand printer. Oh, that's actually about 6 inches. And then you'll just pause here and you'll breathe. And this time as you're here, I want you to isometrically pull back with your palms so that you feel the shoulder blades engage. See if you can draw the front ribs in and allow your heart space to melt towards the floor in one long line. Nice job. Keep lifting on the inner armpits. There we go. And 2 more breath cycles here. Just paying attention to what this feels like. Nice job, guys. As you're ready, you'll inhale and come forward onto hands and knees. As you exhale, let's go ahead and curl both sets of toes under. Walk your knees, ankles, and shin together. We'll sit proper for toe squat. And for this one, you're going to do whatever the heck you want to do. So some of you will just take some wrist circles here. Some of you will take an arm stretch, which we've got about 1 minute on the clock. So you're going to do whatever feels appropriate to you. And then again, we're coming back to the breath. How is the breath doing? How is that inhale? Is it smooth and steady? How is the exhale? Is it Jenny, you can stay there. Is it smooth and steady? As you're paying attention to the inhale, is it as long as the exhale? Is the exhale as long as your inhale? Got about another 20 seconds or so. As you're paying attention to both of these things, are you noticing that they're seamless? So they flow from one to the next? Or do they cut off? And then last 10 seconds or so. What do you notice? Is your breath easy? Is it deep? Or does it feel a little short and choppy? At the end of your next exhale, you'll come forward onto hands and knees. Bring the tops of the feet to the floor, pitter patter your toes if you'd like, having a happy little temper tantrum. And then as you'd like, you might shift your weight back and make your way for the counter stretch, lifting one end or both knees up and away from the floor. Awesome. And then when you feel complete with that, you'll come forward onto hands and knees. Curl both sets of toes under. Start to press your pelvis up and back, downward facing dog. And again, when you get to this down dog, go ahead and walk your dog. You might want to bend one knee and then the other. Yeah, and then Julie, from there, see if you can bend your knees even more. Press the wall away from you and send your pelvis back. Yeah, and then just draw. There you go. And for you, I want you to isometrically think of pulling your hands down the wall as you push into the wall. Yeah. Do you notice how that lengthens your back? Yeah. Okay. And then still, while you're there, you can straighten one leg or the other if you'd like, but keeping the knees bent will just definitely keep your spine longer. Great. All right. So once everyone's complete, you'll go ahead and come to a still neutral spot. On your next in-breath, let's sweep our right leg up and back. As you exhale, draw that right knee towards your nose. Pause, lift your knee a little higher, and then plant that foot on the floor. Pause here, really root down into the back foot, really root down into the front foot, reach your heart forward, scoop the belly away, and on your next in-breath, carefully come up to high crescent lunge. Now, once you're here, what happened to that breath? Can you hear the breath? Can you sense the breath? Can you feel the breath? Everything else that I say is just an extra side note. So I want you to really push down into that right foot. I want you to push down into that left foot and hug your left foot in towards the right side of the body. And then see if you can reach up through the arms and breathe a little deeper. Awesome. You got 2 more breath cycles here. Keep squeezing that left leg in towards the right side of you, hugging the right hip into the left. Nice job. Take 1 more breath cycle here. As you exhale, go ahead and spin the left foot to the floor and open for warrior 2. Take a moment to adjust. Notice what's happening in your feet. Are they wide enough for you? Are they long enough for you? And then once you feel like you've got that going on, return to your breath. All the outer stuff you guys know how to do, but how's the breath doing? Are the arms active? Are you really fully breathing into the breath as you're paying attention to the superficial stuff of the body? You got 2 more breath cycles here. Yep. On your next exhale, cartwheel the hands down to the floor, pause, low lunge. Pivot to the ball of the back foot and step your right foot back to meet the left, plank pose. Take a moment to pause, 3 breaths. And again, how's the breath? How's the quality of your breath? Can you sense it? Can you hear it? Is it smooth? And all these qualities you don't have to work on at the same time, just as the breath smooth. Nice job. Next in breath, shift your weight forward. As you exhale, lower all the way down to the floor. From here, start to bring the tops of the feet to the floor. Start to engage your legs, lengthen your tailbone back, and I want you to push down into the hands just a little bit. Think of spinning your thumbs towards your pinky fingers, curl your heart forward, hug the shoulder blades together on the back, and see how high you can lift into cobra by thinking of isometrically squeezing, pulling the thumbs towards the pinky, the shoulder blades on the back, the tailbone long towards the heels. Nice job. Next exhale, lower all the way down. As you inhale, curl the toes under, come up hands and knees or plank. And then exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. And you just notice what you notice. Notice what you notice. And Julie, from this, you can just step that left leg forward when we do the other side and do all this at the wall if you'd like. Okay, on your next in-breath, you'll lift your left leg up and back. As you exhale, step your left knee towards your nose, hover the body, and then lower the foot down. Take a moment to really root down into your feet, hugging your outer left hip back. Make the belly light in front of the left leg as the heart reaches forward. And then as you're ready, come all the way up for high crescent lunge, Ashtha Chandrasana. And then again, just as you did before, really root into that left foot, your front foot. Really press into the right foot. Yep. And then you're going to hug your right inner thigh towards the left as though you're trying to squeeze a wall or something. And then reach up through the arms. Yep. You got it. And then keep breathing. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. Got 2 more breath cycles here. How's the breath doing? Where can you soften any tension around the neck? At the end of your next exhale, you'll open to Virabhadrasana 2, spinning that right foot down to the floor and pausing. And again, adjust your feet as you need to so it feels appropriate for you. And then once you've got that going on, make sure the left knee is tracking over the center of the left foot. Notice if you're reaching more through your front arm or your back arm, and then pay attention to the breath. Are your hands active? Are the fingers active? Yep. On your next exhale, go ahead and cartwheel the hands to the floor, pivot to the ball of your back foot, pause, step that left foot back, plank pose. 3 breaths. And we're just making sure, is the inhale equal to the exhale? Does it feel like the exhale is longer or shorter than the inhale? Does it feel like the inhale is longer or shorter than the exhale? Nice job. At the end of your 3rd exhalation, you'll inhale, shift your weight forward. And as you exhale, lower all the way down. Nice job. Again, extend the tops of the feet to the floor. This time, slide your hands back just a millimeter. Lengthen the legs long, activate the legs, lengthen the tailbone long, and then draw the low belly in. Now again, push down into your hands isometrically. Think of spinning your thumbs out to their respective pinky fingers. Pull your heart forward, and you can start to lift up as much as you want by lengthening your tailbone back, hugging the shoulders together, pressing down into the hands and pulling them isometrically apart. Awesome. On your next exhale, lower all the way down. Curl the toes under. Inhale through hands and knees or plank. And exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Now as you're in this down dog, notice is the inhale seamlessly moving into the exhale. Can you find the ability to let go of that little bit that happens in between the breaths so that one becomes the next? Awesome sauce. On your next inhalation, go ahead and gaze towards your hands. As you exhale, bend the knees, empty the belly, step or float top of mat. Once you get to the top of your space, separate your feet about hip distance apart. You might find that once you're here, you want to block. You might find that you do not want to block, but we've got 3 breath cycles here. So some of you, if inverting is not working for you today, what you can do is instead you can reach your arms up and over your head. And you can take a little side bend. And those of you that are inverted, you can also grab opposite elbow and maybe sway a little bit from side to side. Awesome. And those that are in movements, gently come back down to stillness. Release your hands down towards the floor. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold in. And then inhale, bend your knees, sit your pelvis low, Utkatasana, chair pose. And now with your breath, bring your awareness to your body. So you can press down into your big toe mounds, all of us, Isometrically drag your big toes towards your pinky toes and notice that that engages the outer hips. From there, you might lengthen your tailbones down. Yep, draw your front ribs into the back body and then reach out through your pinky fingers. It just allows a little bit more external rotation of the arms. And then because we're not weight bearing in the arms, you can let your shoulders come up around your ears and feel what that feels like. You can drop the shoulders down and feel what that feels like. But you got 3 more breaths here and you're just paying attention. How's the breath? How's the breath? Is it easy right now? Can you make it a little bit softer? Yeah, great. On your next in-breath, go ahead and stand up, reach up, possibly look up, and then exhale, hands to heart center. Awesome. Okay, let's add on. Inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. As you exhale, fold forward at your hips, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. As you exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step or float back to Chaturanga Dandasana. Now for this one, we're gonna actually bend our elbows and hold here for 3 breath cycles. And so you're drawing the shoulder blades together on the back body. You're pulling the hands back isometrically. You're drawing the heart forward and you're just breathing. After you've taken your 3rd breath out, you will lower all the way down. I know, I'm sorry. From here, we're gonna go ahead and build on once again. So slide your hands back just a little bit. So now our thumbs might be just below or rather closer towards our pelvis. From here, extend the tops of the feet long. Make sure the legs are super active. Lengthen your tailbone back. Draw the shoulders up towards your ears and shoulder blades onto the back body. Now, keeping your low back long, isometrically push into your hands and start to externally rotate your thumbs towards your pinky fingers. From there, pull the heart forward and through, lengthen the tailbone back, lengthen the toes back, keep the legs long. Some of you may find that you come up high enough that you can actually just straighten the arms and you'll find yourself in down or rather upward facing dog. But it depends on how far back you walked your hands to begin with. Awesome. And then from here, you'll slowly lower all the way back down. Curl the toes under. Inhale through hands and knees or plank. And then exhale, downward facing dog, 3 breaths. 3 breaths. Yeah. And then you just notice, how is the breath? That's the only thing that matters right now, the only thing that matters. There's so many gifts that I think each one of us possess, but we don't always allow ourselves to tune into them because they seem so simple or they seem like something that everybody can do. But the reality is they can't. Not everybody can do the thing that only you could do. And we just have to allow ourselves to get quiet enough to see that. Awesome. Let's go ahead and move on. Next in breath, sweep your right leg up and back. As you exhale, draw that right knee towards your face. Hover the body just a little bit and then lower the right foot to the floor. Pause here. Next in breath, I want you to spin your right foot to the floor, left foot to the floor. Yep, wrong right foot. And then inhale, you'll come up to Virabhadrasana 2. So we're now coming back to Warrior 2. And so now once you're in this Warrior 2, see if you can find a longer stance, maybe front to back. Yep. Press the knife edge of that back foot into the floor. Draw the low belly in. Great. As you're ready, start to straighten your front leg long and then start to reach forward, out, and down for Utthita Trikonasana, triangle pose. And you might have your blocks already up there that you can use. You might not. And then we're going to push into both feet a lot. You're going to hug both feet together a lot. And then see if you can make your right side, that's the underside of the body, longer. Lengthen your tailbone back to that inner left arch of your foot and rotate the spine up. And you've just got 3 steady breath cycles here. And you're noticing what you notice. How is the breath moving now? Can you make the right side of your neck a little bit longer? Yep. And then rotate just through the right ribs. Yeah. Nice work, guys. Take a breath here. On your next exhale, bend your front knee, lower the left hand to the floor and come to a low lunge. Step yourself back, downward facing dog. Choose to stay here or cycle through an up dog or cobra. It's completely up to you, but you're following your own breath. Nice work, guys. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. And when you're back to your neutral position, you're just paying attention. What do you notice? Those in down dog, can you press into the L shape of your hands even more? Yep. Great. Let's go ahead and try the other side. Inhale, sweep your left leg up and back. Exhale, left knee to nose, pause. Lift the pelvis a little bit more and then put the foot down. Great. As you inhale, spin your right foot to the floor and bring yourself up to Virabhadrasana 2. Now, once you're up, notice if your legs could be longer apart, right to left and front to back. Great. Next in-breath, straighten the left leg long. As you exhale, I want you to reach forward, but see if you can keep your left side body super, 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 super long before you lower the left hand to the shin block or floor. Yeah, great. And then pay attention to the legs first. Push out through both of your feet a lot, like you're just trying to make the split position, and then pull your feet together like you're on ice. From there, lengthen your tailbone back to the inner right arch of the foot. See if you can find more length on your right side body and keep that left knee engaged. Now with the left side body long, you'll rotate through the ribs and then keep the left ear, left side of the neck parallel-ish to the floor. Yeah, so let's pull the kneecap up. And see if you can make this side body a little longer. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. And then we rotate just for the ribs. Yeah. And then you've just got one more breath cycle here. And at the end of your next exhale, you'll bend your front knee. You'll lower the right hand to the floor. You'll pivot to the ball of the back foot. You'll step back, downward facing dog. You might stay there. You might cycle through. You might do none of the above, but you're just allowing yourself to pause. Nice job, guys. Nice job, guys. 3 breaths. Okay, let's go ahead and add on. Next in breath, gaze to the top of your space. As you exhale, bend the knees, empty the belly, step or float to top of space. Nice. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold all the way in. Inhale, sit, Utkatasana, chair pose, 3 breaths. And if you're making grimaces, make your grimaces. But again, come back to the breath. It's just a simple invitation. I know it sounds really strange, but just find your breath. And what that may require, which ironically enough, is to let go of something. So as you find that deeper breath, notice what you have to let go of in order to find that release and that expansion and that ease. I think a lot of the things that cause us so much stress in life are us not allowing ease into our life. On your next in-breath, stand up, reach up, look up. Awesome. And then exhale, hands to heart center. Awesome sauce. Take a moment to soften the gaze or close the eyes and take 3 breaths. What is that aspect of yourself that you may have forgotten? Something that as a child you were just freaking excited about and loved and good at, and maybe not good at, but really freaking loved. And how can you allow yourself to remember that aspect of you and bring it back into whatever you're doing on a day-to-day, moment-to-moment basis? All right, go ahead and open the eyes if they're closed. If you've got a block, remove it. Let's turn to face the long edge of our mat. Make sure your feet are about 3 or 4 feet apart, depending upon how long your legs are. Turn your heels in, your toes out, bend your knees and pop the squat. Great, so we're gonna be here for a bit. So the first few minutes, you might want to take those little twists where you straighten the arms and maybe take your right shoulder towards your left inner thigh. And then you might rotate to the other side, but you're just allowing yourself to fidget into that. So the arms stay long and you're just taking a little twist. And once you feel like you've gotten all your little wiggles and giggles out there, you'll come back to center and neutral. Bend your knees as much as you can. Bring your hands either to heart center. Great. And then I want you to push down into your feet, your heels. Push into your big toes again and think of isometrically drawing your big toes towards your pinky toes. See if you can squeeze your outer hips and draw your knees wider. Yep. Some of you will stay here. Some of you will lift your heels off the floor, but we'll stay here for 3 breaths in this goddess pose. And you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're again paying attention to the breath. Is the inhale equal to the out for exhale? Is there a seamless quality between the breath? After your 3rd exhalation, if the heels are lifted, lower them down, sit a little lower, and then exhale, stand up tall. Great. Turn your feet so they're parallel. Wiggle walk your feet in towards each other, or you could hop. Yep. And then I want you to shift all the weight into your left leg. Draw your right knee up towards your chest. You might just let the leg hover by itself. You might grab the front of the shin bone. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you will externally rotate that right leg and plant that right foot on the inside edge of the left calf or the left upper thigh. And then once you're there, you'll notice what arm variation you want to take. And then notice what happened to your breath. Notice what happened to your breath. Notice what happened to your breath. Nice work, guys. All right, as you're ready, you'll gently return to one-legged Tadasana, so that leg parallel in front of you. Lower that right leg down. Shake it out if you need to just allow the system to reset. And then when you're ready, we'll try the other side. So you'll shift all the way into your right foot. You'll float your left knee up. You might grab on the front of the shin bone and stay here. You might externally rotate that left leg and then plant the left sole of the foot on the right calf or maybe in the right upper thigh. Yeah. And then take the arm variation of your choice. And as you are in this shape, I want to let you know that that foot is always supposed to work a lot. Any wobbles doesn't mean that you're not doing it. It just means that you're learning to adjust. And so you're just pausing and you're breathing. You've got about 2 more breath cycles here. What's the quality of your breath now? Is it deep and easy? Is it continuous? Is it seamless? And is it even? As you're ready, gently return to one-legged Tadasana. Awesome sauce. Lower that leg down. Shake the body out if you need to. Cool. All right, turn to face the top of your space once again. Let's add on. Inhale, circle, sweep your arms up and overhead. This time, as you exhale, draw your hands to heart center, draw your right thigh parallel to the floor, knee bent. Awesome. Flex through that foot. Take a big breath in here. As you exhale, you're going to kick back to warrior 3, starting to reach your heart forward, pressing it into your thumbs, reaching your crown forward. Yes, nice work, guys. Take a breath in here. As you exhale, start to bend your left knee, step the right foot back, and make your way to a high crescent lunge. Ah, look at us go. Pause and breathe. Catch your breath. Did you stop breathing? Is it seamless? Is it smooth? Is it continuous? Awesome sauce. On your next exhale, spin the right foot to the floor, open to Virabhadrasana 2. Pause. Notice the breath. How smooth is it? How seamless is it? Great. Next inhalation, go ahead and straighten your front leg long. As you exhale, reach forward, out and down, returning back to Utthita Trikonasana. Notice if this side, this time is different. Take a moment to pause. Take a moment to breathe. Awesome sauce. We're going to add on. Let's go ahead and bend our front knee. Turn your gaze to the floor. Bring your right hand to your right hip and pause. Start to walk your right foot closer to your left foot. Shift your weight forward. Plant your left hand on the floor or block slightly to your left. Shift your weight forward and float that right leg up. Now, once you feel established in your leg, you might float your right arm up as well. And again, notice if you're breathing. Nice work, guys. Nice work, guys. Great. Very gently, you will bend your front knee. You will reach your right foot back. You will make yourself back into a warrior two. Nice job. As you're ready, you'll cartwheel the hands down to the floor. You'll step yourself back to a downward facing dog. You may or may not cycle through an up dog or cobra. And you'll just pause and you'll just breathe once you find yourself in your shape. Great. As you're ready, we will go ahead and we will move on. On your next in-breath, gaze towards your hands. As you exhale, bend your knees, empty the belly, step or float. Nice work. Once you're there, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold all the way in. Inhale, bend your knees, sit your pelvis low, Utkatasana, chair pose. 3 breaths. Where can we soften? I think in order for us to soften, we have to innately believe that who we are as we are is 100% okay. And then you don't really have to do anything other than breathe. At the end of your next exhale, you'll take a big breath in, stand up, reach up, look up. And then exhale, hands to heart center. Take a moment to soften the gaze or close the eyes before we do the other side. Let's bring our right hand to our heart and stack our left hand on top of our heart. And I want you to just take 3 breaths here, maybe gaze closed or gaze soft. 3 breaths, nothing to do other than breathe. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and gently open our eyes. Try the left side. Inhale, circle sweep your arms up and overhead. As you exhale, hands to heart center, left knee towards your chest. Pause, push your thumbs into your sternum into your thumb, flex through that left foot. On your next exhale, start to kick your left foot back, reach your heart forward into your thumbs as you press through your left big toe mound. Nice job. Take a big breath in here. As you exhale, bend the right knee, step the left foot back and transition into your high crescent lunge. And you pause and you breathe. And if you did something else, that's fantastic. As you're ready, you'll spin the back foot to the floor and open to Virabhadrasana 2. But again, you're paying attention to the breath. Noticing where you can soften. Noticing how we can find equanimity between who we are, who we have been, and who we wish to be. Nice job. On your next in-breath, go ahead and straighten your front leg long. As you exhale, reach so far out through that right arm to make the right side body so long to come into Utthita Trikonasana. And then you just take a couple of breaths here. Couple of breaths, noticing how we're doing here. Great. At the end of your next exhale, the gaze will come to the floor. You'll bend your right knee, your left hand will come to your left hip. You'll start to shift your weight forward, walking that back foot closer to the right foot. Walk your right hand out and to the right or to a block, and then lift that left leg parallel-ish to the floor. Once you feel established in your legs, you might extend that left arm up. Nice job, guys. And you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing how this is going. At the end of your next exhale, you'll bend your front knee and bring yourself back to a warrior two. Nice job, guys. Take a moment to settle. And then on your next exhale, cartwheel the hands to the floor. Step back, downward facing dog. You may or may not cycle through an up dog or cobra, and then we'll meet in a child's pose. And you'll just pause and you'll just breathe. And you'll just pause and you'll just breathe. And then Julie, while you're there, I want you to see if you can draw your shoulders together on your back and just let your arms come back behind you. Yeah, you might interlace the hands if you'd like. Just let the heart lift and see if you can release any tension in your jaw. There you go. Great. Now, as we check in, I'm going to give you guys options here. So you choose what is best for you, okay? You can either take a pigeon, you can take a seated figure four, or you can take a supine figure four. But you're going to just take 3 more breath cycles here, and then you will choose which of those 3 options sounds best to your body at this moment. And you'll know which is the best of the 3 options by how it impacts your breath. So at the end of your 3rd exhale, you'll move into one of those 3 shapes. And you might find that you try one and then you're like, yeah, not so much. And then you try another and you're like, a little better. And then you might find a 3rd one. But you're going to take the opportunity to find that for you. And there's no prize for doing one over the other. There's no magic sweet spot. You're just trying to see what allows you to return to a greater sense of compassion and acceptance and love for you as you are. And you'll know when there's ease because the breath will become easy. Great, and we've got about 4 more breath cycles here. So those that are in pigeon, if you want, you might bend the back knee and grab the back foot if you'd like, if you'd want that quad stretch. Those that are in seated figure four, you might try an Agni-stambhasana if that's up for you. Those that are in on your back, you might notice that you might want to rock a little right to left. You might find that you can push the same elbow as knee into that thigh, but you're just going to allow yourself to be where you are and explore a little bit more of whatever shape you happen to be in. And then at the end of your next exhalation, you're going to start to come out of whatever shape you're in. So some of you might go back to downward facing dog. Some of you might just take a moment lying on your back, but you're going to just take a moment to be in some symmetrical pose for just a few breaths. And as you're in that symmetrical pose, can you allow yourself to notice what you can soften here so that the breath becomes deeper for you, so that it becomes more effortless for you? Great. And you've got 1 more breath cycle here. And then as you're ready, you'll make your way to the other side. And again, you might find that you do the exact same thing you did on the other side. And if so, great. You might find that you need to do something else. And if so, great. But I want you to imagine that for some reason, you were given complete permission to do the most enjoyable thing for you, and that nobody cared one way or the other whether or not it looked like something, whether or not it felt like something to them, but just felt like something to you. Yeah. And you might try a variation of the variation that you're in. So those in pigeon, you might bend the back knee and try grabbing the foot. Those that are in seated figure four, you might try Agni-stambhasana. Those that are in supine figure four, you might try drawing the sole of the foot into the crook of the opposite arm and see what that feels like. But you're just paying attention. And then very gently, we'll take 2 more breath cycles here, just enjoying the shape, enjoying the experience of being in your body. And at the end of your next exhale, you'll make your way back to a symmetrical pose of your choice. Great. And so those that are in down dog, you will shift forward into plank. You'll lower all the way down. And then you'll find yourselves on your back. So you'll roll over onto your backs. Great. And then once we find ourselves on the back, let's all open our arms out into a cactus or T shape, whatever feels good to you. Take a moment to bend both of your knees just for a brief bit. And with your feet about as wide as your hips, maybe a little wider, you'll allow both legs to fall over to your right first. And then you'll inhale and come back up through center, and then you'll go over to the left. And you'll just take about 4 sets of these, just working with the breath before we'll hold it. And I want you to see if when you let the legs windshield wiper one way, you can allow them to work separately. So one leg goes and the other leg follows so that you can feel the internal and external rotation of the legs. And it doesn't have to be like super separate, but you feel one initiate and then the other one follow. There we go. Yeah. Okay. And then the next time your legs happen to fall over to your right side, we will stay there. Some of you will stay right here as you are. Some of you will cross that right ankle on top of your left knee. Some of you will bring the sole of the right foot into the top of the left thigh. And so you might pull, if you do bring that thigh into, or the sole of the foot into the thigh, you really push the sole of the foot into the thigh. So see if we can bring it here. And you're going to push your heel. Oh, can I take it? You're going to push your heel into the thigh and you drag it straight down. And it gives this crazy stretch on the top of your left thigh. Yeah, it feels good to me. It's kind of crazy. But, and then, isn't that fantastic? It's like a little massage that you give yourself that otherwise doesn't happen. And for those of you who have no idea what I'm doing at home, the right leg, the right heel is really just rubbing itself down the left thigh. And you're pushing the foot into the meaty muscle of the thigh, and it just gives you a little massage. All right. Oh, and Roberta says it helps if you also do it with your ankle. And then as you're ready, you'll gently come to stillness. If you're in that movement, you'll release and we'll come back to center. And then you'll let the left leg fall over to the left, the right leg follow it. You might stay there. You might take the same variation you did the first time. So maybe that left heel just comes to the top of the right thigh. Maybe you dig that left heel into the meaty muscle of your right thigh. Yeah. Great. And then those that are in movement, you'll come to stillness. You'll gently uncross that left ankle. You'll come back through center. Take a moment to make sure your feet are in line with your hips. And then draw your knees towards your chest. Slide your hands through the inside edges of your thighs. Grab the outside edges of your feet. For a moment, just press the feet together first. Widen the knees apart. Notice how that lets the pelvis be a little heavier. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you will open your knees down towards the floor, your feet up towards the sky, and take Happy Baby Ananda Balasana. And then notice if you're breathing. What's the breath doing now? Can the neck remain long as well? Yeah. Some of you will be rocking and rolling. Some of you will be completely still. Some of you will try to straighten one and or both legs, but we've got about 4 to 5 more breath cycles here. And again, the focus is always on the breath. What is the breath doing? Is it smooth? Is that inhale smooth from beginning to end? Is that exhale smooth from beginning to end? Do you find that the inhale and the exhale are equal in length? Does the exhale naturally become the inhale and the inhale naturally become the exhale? Is the breath deep? And is it effortless? Great. Very gently, you'll hug the knees back to the chest. You'll plant the feet on the floor. Okay. Now at this point, I want you to walk your feet outside of your hips, let your knees knock in. It's another choose your own adventure type of thing. Cross your arms over your body like you're giving yourself a hug. And you're just going to go with whatever of these options feels like the most fantastic to you. And you'll know it by what it does to your breath. So option number 1 is a bridge. Option number 2 is a supported bridge. Option number 3 is supported Viparita Karani. So block underneath your pelvis, legs up to the sky. You're going to take a moment to see which one of those options sounds the best for you. And then you're going to go ahead and do that. And again, there's no right, there's no wrong. You're choosing what feels best to you. And we're going to stay here for about 5 long, steady breaths. And to make sure they're long and steady, I'm going to actually give you some breath work here. So I want you to inhale for a count of 4, hold the breath for a count of 1 or 2, and then exhale for a count of 4. And then hold the breath out for 1 or 2. So 4 counts in, brief pause at the top, 4 counts out, brief pause at the bottom. And again, you're just working with the breath. This really allows you to see if the breath is smooth. It really allows you to see if the breath is even. By purposely pausing the breath, it lets you notice whether it's normally continuous. And then it allows you to see what feels deep to you and what feels effortless to you. Awesome. Should be our last breath cycle here. Okay, those of you with your legs up towards the sky, gently bend your knees and slowly plant your feet firmly on the floor. Once your feet are planted, we're all going to press down into our feet, engage your glutes, lift your hips, remove your blocks, and lower your pelvis back down. Great. From here, see if you can arch your low back just a little bit so pubic bone and sit bones, or pubic bone and hip bones are parallel. And then go ahead and extend your left leg long beneath you. Draw your right knee into your chest. You might interlace your hands on the back of the thigh or front of the shin. You're just going to find a bit of compression here. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you will move around just a bit, but you're just paying attention to the breath. Okay. Those that are in movement, come back to stillness. Some of you will stay right here. Some of you will interlace your hands at the back of your thigh and kick your right leg away from you, foot up towards the sky. And you'll just take a few breath cycles here, really active through that right leg if the right leg is straight. And then everyone, let's be active through our left leg, pushing down into the back of the left heel, the left thigh, the left calf. And then check in with your breath. How's the breath? How is the breath? Awesome. On your next exhale, hug the knee into the chest. Great. And then gently release the foot to the floor. Bend your left knee. Plant the left foot next to the right. And then go ahead and extend your right leg long. Hug the left knee into your chest. You might grab back of thigh, front of shin. And you're just finding the compression first. You might then move around a little bit or stay in stillness. It's up to you, but you're just paying attention to the breath. Those in movement come to stillness. And then from here, Let's interlace our hands at the back of that left thigh if you're going to straighten that left leg up. And then you'll kick the thigh into the hands. You'll reach the foot up towards the sky and you'll take a few breaths here. And as that left leg is active, notice what's happening in the right leg, flexing through the right foot, pushing the right heel, the right calf, the right thigh down towards the floor as you kick the left thigh into the hands, pull the hands into the thigh. Notice your breath. Nice job, guys. Last breath cycle here. And then you'll gently bend that knee, hug the knee into the chest. And then plant the foot on the floor and slide your left foot out to meet the right. Now take a moment to notice if there's anything else you need to do before we start to wrap and cover our bodies for our final shape. So you will just check in with you. And then once you feel like you're established, some of you may choose to put something on the abdomen, like a blanket, like a block. It sometimes just helps to have the feedback. Okay. Great. Mhm. Reindeers. Okay. And then if you do have something on your abdomen, I want everyone to take a moment to really situate themselves. So if you feel like you need to wiggle a little bit for the body to feel equal and even and supported, please do that. Okay. And then we're going to start just very big and get smaller. So I want you to start just with being aware of the bones of the body. And I want you to make every bone in the body maybe 5 pounds heavier than it currently is. So every single bone of the body. This includes your jawbone falling away from the skull. This includes the shoulder blades falling away from the chest. Make all these bones a little heavier. Shoulder blades falling away from the ears as well. Okay. Now, once the bones have become about 5 pounds heavier, bring your awareness to the muscles. I want you to see if you can just soften them. Really allow them to let go and drip, to drape, to melt over all of those heavy bones of the body. So you have about 206 bones in the body, so that's a lot of muscles that need to soften. Notice where you can continue to soften the muscles. And then you might begin to observe that as you've let the bones become heavy and as you've allowed the muscles to continue to soften around all those bones, your breath naturally becomes deeper, naturally becomes longer, naturally becomes easier. It naturally becomes more seamless. And it naturally becomes more continuous. Now, for the next few moments, I want you to just allow your awareness to rest on the belly. Really notice the breath as it's being breathed into your body, into your belly. And then notice the breath as it's breathed out of the body, out of the belly. I'll leave you here for a few moments on your own. If at any point in time you notice your mind has wandered, not to worry, you simply notice that and then come back to the belly, come back to the breath. Return your awareness to your breath. As you come back to your breath, just take a moment to check in and just notice what you notice. If there's any part of you longing to linger in this shape, stay here as long as you'd like. When you are ready to move on with your day, you'll allow the breath to invite movement into the body. So, whatever way feels good to you. You might just expand the breath. You might wiggle to allow in a deeper breath. You might stretch and yawn to allow in a deeper breath, but you'll allow the breath to initiate the movement. And those that are in stillness, stay as long as you'd like. Those that are in movement, you'll start to make your way to one of your sides and you'll just pause there for a few breath cycles. Those that are on your side, you'll gently start to roll your chest more towards the floor. Press into your top hand and draw yourself up to a tall and comfortable seat. When you are vertical, I do encourage you to take the opportunity to sit tall and to sit well. Place the hands wherever you need to so your heart space remains open, where the shoulder blades just slide down the back and the spine seems long. And then we'll just take a few minutes to just sit here, letting the breath be however it is, letting the spine be long. I truly believe that the more we can simplify certain aspects of life, we can tune back into our innate knowing, our innate gifts, our innate talents, our innate wisdom. And often one of the best ways of simplifying things is to be able to really tune into the breath. Or if we pay attention to the breath, it'll tell us when there's something that's going on that doesn't feel good to us in a way that our mind can never fully computate, in a way that nobody can tell us is right or is wrong. So as we finish our practice today, I invite you to maybe place one hand on a heart, the other hand on a belly, or maybe both hands on the heart, whatever feels best to you. And you'll just take 3 breaths here, really feeling into your own breath, really feeling into your own being, your own knowing. The end of your 3rd exhalation, draw your hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Press the palms into each other. Receive the weight of your thumbs into your sternum and lift your heart towards your hands. Gently exhale all the breath from your mouth. Take a big breath in. Audible breath out. Inhale for Om. Join if you'd like. To that light, to that breath, and to that sound, we bow. Namaste.